Okay, so let's start with the very first principle that you can find in that passage. And for those of you who are just joining us, we're using the parable of the talents as contained in the Bible, Matthew 25, to talk about the principles of money, right? So that parable starts out with Jesus saying, a man went on a journey and he called his servants and he entrusted his wealth to them. A man went on a journey, or he was going on a journey, and he called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. Now, obviously, you need to understand the context because in those times, he was talking to, anytime he spoke a parable, he always used examples that his audience would be familiar with, which is a really good way to teach. So he was saying that this person in this story, he was using the metaphor that most the audience would be familiar with, of a wealthy man who was going on a journey, and he called his servants and he entrusted his wealth to them, right? But what does it really mean, leaving aside the context? It means that you need to understand who the characters in that story are because they're all very important. So the man going on a journey is actually God. Now, why do I say is God? Now, remember how God created the earth, right? He's invisible. He's a spirit being who resides in heaven. He created the earth, right? He spoke it into existence and he spoke everything into existence. But then what does he do? He breathes his own children, he releases his own children from his spirit and tells them to dominate the resources of the earth. That's exactly what this parable was saying. A man going on a journey called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. God created the earth and then withdrew, and he entrusted the earth and everything in the earth to his children, to his servants. So that's the very first thing. God is the owner of wealth, right? He created wealth and created everything in the earth that pertains to wealth, all the resources that pertain to wealth. And then he gave the management of that wealth to his children. The children don't own it, he owns it. He's just entrusting the wealth to them, right? So those are the two major things you need to understand. God is the owner of all wealth. Everything belongs to him. If you remember nothing else, remember this: all wealth belongs to God. All wealth belongs to God. One more time: all wealth belongs to God. For you to have that mind shift, that mind reset, this is the very first thing you need to understand: that all wealth belongs to God, and He gives it to His servants. Right? He entrusts the wealth to His servants. So that's principle number one. Okay, the man going on the journey called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them.